everyone. Can you hear me? Mm. Great. Okay. Hi, my name is Carlos, and here with me is Omar Sainz, who is president of Red Global MX, and I am head of science, technology, and innovation from Red Global MX. So the purpose of this session is for us to explain you what is Red Global and a little bit of some of our projects and what we have done so far. Okay. So I'll share screen with you. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, I was telling you, my name is Carlos, and I am an associate professor in computing at Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, Scotland. And with me is Omar Sanz, who is president of Red Global MX, and he's also working in cybersecurity at Google. So, as you can see, we all have, let's say, dual affiliations, right? We all do some different things other than the than Red Global. However, it is something that we do as a passion, as something that engages us with the community, and that you will see why we are doing it. Okay, so Red Global is an initiative that was born in 2005 as part of what is now known as IMME, Instituto de Mexicanos y Mexicanas en el Exterior, and they funded this program with the aim of, let's say, engaging the Mexican community abroad. So as you can see from the description here in the website from the government, it says in this article from 2018, which is the one that is currently on the website, that it is the Red Global MX gathers interested individuals in the promotion of development of Mexico and in the economy of knowledge, right? So Red Global used to be known as Red de Talentos in el exterior. However, this has been changed to be or Red Global de Mexicanos Calificados. However, it was changed simply to Red Global MX to be more inclusive. So there is this video on the website that you can, I mean, it's less than a minute, so.
México, semillero de grandes talentos. Somos el primer lugar en Latinoamérica y el sexto a nivel mundial con presencia de expertos en el exterior. Por esta razón, el Gobierno de México desarrolló la Red Global MX, conformada por mexicanos altamente calificados que viven alrededor del mundo. La Red Global MX realiza proyectos que promueven el desarrollo y la innovación social, económica, científica y tecnológica de México. Esta red se conforma por capítulos que se localizan en distintos países. Dichos capítulos se vinculan a México a través de nodos que se encuentran en los estados de la República y ayudan a implementar los proyectos propuestos desde el exterior. La Red Global MX está integrada por profesionistas expertos en todas las áreas. El talento mexicano está en todas partes. Conéctate para que lo bueno siga contando. www.gov.mx/IME. Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores, Gobierno de la República. México, semillero.
So as you can see, this video says that there's different chapters, right, from the Red Global MX in multiple countries. Red Global MX UK has 6 people acting as leaders and currently 55 members. And we have a portal. So if you go to our website, you'll see that all members can log into the portal where they can see the video, they can have a comment wall, they can do networking, they can post about what they're doing. And some of the activities that we do in particular in the UK chapter are, for example, mentorships. So we run mentorship programs. We have clusters. So these are like groups of interest. So for example, we have the AI cluster, the sustainability cluster, the women in STEM or STEAM. And we have also a newsletter. So, for example, every month we have a newsletter which informs you what other members are doing, some opportunities, job adverts, things like that. We have actions also for creative industries, entrepreneurship. And as the video said, we have links with, well, for example, we have links with MEXOC UK. So, in fact, we signed in 2018, I think, a partnership which, let's say, allows us to be like that kind of constant, let's say, help for MEXOC UK. As students, you may, let's say, constantly rotate in the UK, whereas Red Global MX is supposedly, let's say, conformed by people that are more stable in the UK, and we help you develop things like projects, like initiatives. Even in the symposium, we help as much as we can. And as the video said, we link with the nodos, which are in Mexico. So there's a node for each of the 32 states of Mexico, and that way we can link and do projects that are meaningful for our country, right? So This is a report from an organization called UDIF, which I will explain you what they do and why it is so important for us. But UDIF is an institution, let's say, that is implemented by the ICMPD, which is the International Center for Migration Policy Department, and which is funded by the European Union. And on their website, they have an interactive map where they explain you every diaspora in the world. Okay, so they explain for it. So these guys don't only work for the EU or the UK. They work for the entire diasporas in the whole world. Okay, and they map diasporas, and they have this report which is from 2000. Well, the last update was to December 2023, as you can see there from the fact sheet. And you can see here that it says that basically Mexicans emigrate to different countries. I think UK is the sixth one after this. So after Germany, it's like between 12 and 15K Mexicans in the UK. These varies all the time, and it gives you some let's say important information. So the report is very interesting. If you want to read it, the link is there. I mean, this recording is going to be in UNAM's website, so you can check here the link, and you will see that there's a list of all the initiatives that Mexicans do abroad. Something that you need to have clear in mind is that there is no diaspora control. So our country doesn't strictly know how many Mexicans live abroad, right? We don't have like a strict control or register about that. So we do this for our own good, right? And we get engaged with our country because we want to. So in this website, it says how, let's say, we implicitly do this connection. So for example, you can see that there's terminologies, right, of how to refer ourselves as a diaspora, remittances, which are the way in which we also engage with our country, voting from abroad, right? Having those rights, having dual citizenship, all of these things help for the diaspora, let's say, to remain engaged. Okay. So in terms of Red Global helps us by doing these chapters, which connect the groups that live abroad with the groups that, for example, most of the times nodes are led by people that used to live abroad and then they go back to Mexico and then they say, in my state, how can I engage further with these groups around the world, okay, so that I can bring projects to my state, okay, and people get together for different purposes, right? Social, work related, academic, for support, for advice. So, for example, chapters in the US, there's many more. I mean, just knowing how many Mexicans live over there, you can have a chapter by city. There's chapter Chicago, chapter New York, whereas here we have UK chapter. For example, Germany has chapters sometimes by Hesse, Munich. It depends on how many Mexicans are living there. However, in the United States, maybe they have a focus more on like the migrant rights or things like that. Whereas in the UK, it can be more about entrepreneurial spirit, in creative industries, mentorships, different things. So different chapters have different aims. Now, from UDIF, we also get this report. So this is a diaspora engagement map. And if you click on Mexico, you will see that there are UDIF actions. So UDIF also gives funding to diaspora, let's say, organizations to do projects. And this is something very exciting that happened to us because back in 2022, we requested funding from UDIF. So it was a project led by Omar, by myself, by Oscar Alvarez, who is currently the vice president, and Cristi Peña, who is now, well, at the time she was in the Hesse chapter. Now I think she's in Spain. But the thing here that you have to be clear is that by being part of Red Global, you can also actively, let's say, get benefits from it. It's not just, like paying a membership and not doing anything, but rather you can become active. You can lead your own projects. You can tell us what you want to do. So it's about also contributing to the things that you want to do. So in this case, we requested some funds and UDIF gave us some funds, even though we are not part of the EU as we know it. As I was telling you, UDIF is a global, let's say, initiative. So therefore, they fund diasporas. They don't fund continents. They don't fund memberships. So this funding was very good because it allowed us to do a project which is called Working with Academics from the Mexican Diaspora to facilitate education regarding climate change and circular economy. So there's a fact sheet on the website that describes everything. I'll just go very quickly through the things that you will see there. So as I was telling you, here's the team that work in it, and here is Agustin, who was like, let's say, like the part from the funding body that was overseeing all the activities. So he's part from UDIF, and here is Omar, myself, Oscar, and Christy. And then we went to Mexico to Cámara de Diputados, where we were able to meet with some people from the Congress, and also some people from different nodes joined, and you can see also some of our members. Okay. So in general description, this project was about developing, let's say, some method to transfer knowledge on climate change and circular economy from the Mexican diaspora, from the people that live in the UK, to Mexico. Okay, so all the knowledge or all the, let's say, know-how that we have here about these topics, how can we transfer it to Mexico? Okay. And as you can see here in the fact sheet, they also says some things about our chapter, the duration of the project, the SDGs that we were targeting, 12, 13, and 17, general objectives, right? Created a structured scheme of knowledge, of transfer, map Mexican academia, working with UK, with Europe, strengthening the links, right? So it was also a networking fund. You know, it also helped us to do activities where we learn how to engage with the notes. Okay, even though that should be our job, we learned that we can do it better. Okay, so UDIF has here some, you know, some other data, so you can see they're empowering diaspora, fostering partnership, different things that they describe from our proposal, right? And outputs, the assessment report, the methodology, the capacities, and finally the toolkit, which is a guide, let's say, for citizens and climate change. Okay, so here are some of the expected results. Here is some information about these SDGs that I was telling you. So a database of academic and scientific community individuals that we already know about these topics. Feedback workshops to develop the toolkit, indeed. So we needed to let's say understand which are these practices that we want to embed in the toolkit itself, to develop these targets, and then narrowing down the toolkit. Okay. So some of the notable actions that we did during this project were co-creation sessions. So we had one online and one in London. So as you can see from that picture that I show you, we all went down to London to have sessions at Google. So Omar kindly helped us host those sessions. And we had some co-creation sessions where we thought about the topic. We had multidisciplinary collaboration. So we had even more online sessions where we gathered with stakeholders, with people that knew about the topic. We also made contact with places such as Huerto Roma Verde in Mexico, with Nodo Hidalgo, with Cámara de Diputados. And finally, we presented that toolkit on September 2023 in Pachuca, Hidalgo. From the pictures that you saw, you can also see that we were there in Hidalgo, okay? Moreover, this project brought some benefits, right, for me. So as an academic, let's say I'm constantly, let's say, looking for ways in which I can give engaging and meaningful projects to my students, right? So for example, sometimes I have to propose MSc projects, and one thing that helped me was this project itself. So for example, I had two students who were at the time studying an MSc at my university at RUU, and they implemented spin-off projects from this initiative. So the first one is Diana, and she was presenting this project, which is privacy impact and digital footprints of highly qualified Mexicans in the UK. So what she did is, taking this idea of the fact that we have to network with people, she implemented like a scoring system where she could mine the information of someone and assign a score for that person. If there was a likelihood for them being harmed by digital attacks, like how severe it was and the overall risk. So kind of mapping your digital footprint in a way, and in different layers, and she was able to mine the data and to some sort of understand how academics, both in Mexico and in the UK, had their information at risk. So as you can see, calculating the score, here are some visualizations, and this showed, let's say, that most of the people fell in the medium range, okay? The other project that we had as a spin-off is called a recommendation system for the implementation of sustainability campaigns in Mexico from UK research. This was made by Sandra, and her aim was to build, let's say, a Tinder, let's say, but instead of being for dates, it's a platform where you could look for the academic that was the most related to your experience. Okay, so you could build a profile and then some sort of match, let's say, by your SDG goals, by your projects, by the keywords that you used. So basically, gathering the data, preparing it, creating a data set, creating a recommender system that could do this match, and then you would go onto your platform and it would show you who was the right person for you to pair up in a project. So it looked like this, there was a login site using Google, a directory, you could join at it, and then you could, let's say this is the dashboard, right? And basically you could see which people were matched and why it was matching, okay? So here are some links that you can check if you want some information. There's interviews with us. So from the playlist, you can see that myself, Omar, Kirsty, and Oscar are talking about the project. There's also press releases from UDIF. There's the info sheet, finally, and you can also find there the toolkit. The toolkit, in fact, is quite engaging. It's something that we are very proud of. Because in the toolkit you can see all the work. So for example, if you go there to the website, you will see in the info sheet there's a report. I mean, you can check it in English or Spanish, but basically it has everything. It has the toolkit, and the toolkit shows a lot of, let's say, engaging visualizations, a lot of schemes and diagrams that can help you implement circular economy and sustainable practices, not only in Mexico, but everywhere in the world. Okay, so that's it from our end. If you have any questions, please let us know, and thank you very much for your attention.
Gracias, Carlos. Vamos a pasar a la siguiente presentación, pero vamos a remitirles la información de Red Global para que puedan contactarnos y también estos últimos links que nos pasaron para que se puedan remitir a ellos los presentes y también los que vean esta presentación después. Muchas gracias.
De nada, hasta luego.
Muy bien, excelente.
Bueno, pues nada, me faltó poner